So what is really happening tonight within the Republican Party? Are these splits beginning to fray? This is the #1 story on tonight's political list. Craig Crawford is with CQPolitics.com. He's got plenty to say about what's going on with Karl Rove, with Sarah Palin, with Christine O'Donnell, and with the Republican Party feud. Let's set this up this way. First of all, most Americans by now have heard what they're saying about Karl Rove, the Republicans, that is. Michelle Malkin came out and said that he's basically a sore loser, but she's not the only one. Radio host Mark Levin, he says Rove's declared war on the Tea Party. Blogger Dan Reel says Fox News should suspend Karl Rove and investigate him for this. Craig, is Karl Rove only saying in public what a lot of other people in the Republican Party, maybe not on TV, are thinking?
Yeah, but I think they're going to quit saying it. In the Republican steakhouses here in Washington, they're serving heaping mounds of crow stewed in tea. They're backing off today. And you know, we saw it with what you mentioned earlier with the money being shoved into her campaign. I think they are backing off. They're running scared. I love it when the establishment gets knocked off its pedestal on either side. And the thing about the Tea Partiers is that they could knock both sides establishment off.
But I'm still trying to figure out it. Now, I talked to Gloria Borger about this earlier, and I'd like to get your comment on this. A lot of Americans are scratching their head trying to figure this out. Is this a net plus for Republicans or a net loss in the end? Because A, they're feuding, yeah, but if they come together, don't they become a bit of a super party then in November?
Well, the best news for Republicans is that these folks are staying in the party. This is not, and what's interesting to me historically, and it's always dangerous to overdo the comparisons, but they remind me a lot, their fiscal message, their focus on the deficit and spending, of the Perot movement. And that was outside the Republican Party. That really was divisive. That cost them a presidential election. So at least there, and you look at the polling of people who identify themselves as Tea Partiers, and they say 60% or so that they're Republican, and only less than a third have any interest in a third party. So that's good news for Republicans right there. They're at least staying within the party, and if the bigwigs can figure out how to get along with the grassroots and pull it together, it might work.
Here's the point, though. Yes, they may be able to make it work as a party if they come together. But in places like Delaware, as people like Karl Rove will say, it's not going to be seen as a net gain to have someone like O'Donnell on the ticket going up against a Democrat in a state where something like 70% of the people call themselves either progressive or Democrat, right?
Yeah, but you mentioned earlier the turnout figures, so heavily lopsided Republican. Right there in Delaware, there was about 50% more turnout in that race yesterday than in previous years and what was expected. So that, where was that coming from? In other words, what she's doing is pulling in a lot of non-voters, traditionally non-voters, and that's an old theory in politics: hit them where they ain't. In these low turnout elections, whenever a candidate can attract usually non-voters to come in, they can just blow out the gaskets, and that's what Obama did so successfully. It's just that those voters he brought in seem to have disappeared in this election.
I had an old baseball coach who used to tell me just to do that very thing: hit it where they ain't, son. Hit it where they ain't if you want to get on base. Craig Crawford, nobody does it like him. My thanks to you for joining us on this night. Folks, take a look at this.